The Vegas Golden Knights shut out the Pittsburgh Penguins in Vegas on the night of the NHL trade deadline by a score of 4-0. So what happened this time when the Pittsburgh Penguins hosted the Vegas Golden Knights in Pittsburgh? Let's find out. My name is Scott McGregor, and this is Penguins Postgame. Let's go, Pens! You're locked in to Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. He shoots, he scores! The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins Postgame. PPG for PGH. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. Welcome in, Penguins fans and Golden Knights fans, to another great edition of Penguins Postgame. It is time for the second meeting of two meetings between the Penguins and the Golden Knights on this edition of Penguins Postgame. Let's get started. The head coaches of the Vegas Golden Knights, the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights is Bruce Cassidy, and he would send Ilya Samsonov to the net on Tuesday night with Adin Hill as the backup against the Penguins, and their head coach, Mike Sullivan, who would counter this time with Tristan Jarry in goal and Alex Nedeljkovic in as the backup to Tristan should he be needed. All right, ladies and gents, let's jump into this game. 3-2 the final. The Penguins knock off the Golden Knights 3-2. How did they do it? Well, against the least penalized team in the National Hockey League, the Vegas Golden Knights, they got some interesting penalties called on the Golden Knights. And that is where we are going to start our recap of this game in our first segment as we go from the head coaches and goaltending matchup, which we did right off the bat. Of course, my name is Scott McGregor. I am the host of the show. And we welcome in our listeners on the ice and behind the benches as well. Thank you so much for checking us out. As well, if you're checking us out on a Wednesday, like tomorrow or a future Wednesday when this show hits the air, we welcome you in. Thank you for joining us. We'll begin in our penalty summary before we get into the scoring. And we begin with Victor Olofsson going 2 minutes for high sticking for the Vegas Golden Knights at 4 minutes and 36 seconds in the first period. Penguins go to the game's first power play of the game. They are unable to connect on this power play goal, on this power play opportunity, I should say. But never fear, the Golden Knights will give the Penguins another opportunity as Thomas Hertl finds his way into the penalty box at the 16-minute and 57-second mark. Once again, Vegas is guilty of a high-sticking penalty. On this penalty, the Penguins have the game's second power play of the game, and first two, I should say, power plays of the hockey game. On this power play opportunity, it would be the captain, Sidney Crosby, picking up goal number 22 on the season, assisted by Rickard Rakell, his 26th assist of the season, and Kevin Hayes picking up his 9th assist of the season at the 17-minute and 48-second mark of the first period. The Penguins, despite being outshot 9-4 after the first 20 minutes of play, have the lead. Do we have a difference? Do we have a different type of hockey game brewing here? Well, the outcome is definitely different compared to what happened on Friday night. The outcome is definitely different. To the second period we go. 3 minutes and 2 seconds in. Crosby strikes again. His second goal of the game. 23rd of the season. Rickard Rakell, speaking of strikes again, he strikes again, picking up the primary assist on Crosby's second goal of the evening, his 27th assist of the season, second assist of the game. Crosby's second goal of the game is his 23rd of the season. Penguins took a penalty a little bit late in the period at the 14-minute and 9-second mark, but before we get to that one, the Golden Knights. Oh, this is an inexcusable penalty, Golden Knight fans. This is an inexcusable penalty the Golden Knights take. Nicholas Roy, not even a minute in, and never mind 47 seconds in. We'll get to that. That's in the third period in a second. We'll get to that one in a second. But 4 seconds into the second period, Nicholas Roy, an inexcusable tripping minor to Nicholas Roy. 2 minutes for tripping. Penguins go back on the power play. And unfortunately, this time Vegas gets what they got on their first opportunity on the penalty kill. They are the least penalized team in the National Hockey League, which is the NHL for short. And they find a way to score a goal in the second period thanks to the penalty from Philip Tomasino. Tomasino taking the Penguins' only penalty of the game, a 2-minute minor for guess what? Tripping. Penguins only took a tripping call. Nicholas Roy among Victor Olofsson and Thomas Hertl. Nicholas Roy took the only tripping penalty of the game for Vegas. The high-sticking minors went to Thomas Hertl and Victor Olofsson. Those came in the first period. Nicholas Roy's penalty came for tripping 4 seconds into the second. 14 minutes and 9 seconds. Penguins go on the penalty kill for the first time and only time in the game. unfortunately, the penalty kill is unable to kill off this penalty as Pavel Dorofeev, Pavel Dorofeev, Pavel Dorofeev, Pavel Duf, Pavel Dorofeev, Pavel D. Pavel, if I pronounce your last name wrong, I apologize in advance. I apologize also to Noah Hannafin if I pronounce his last name wrong, and Jack Eichel. PPG for PGH in the first period of play. How about a PPG for VGK as Pavel D scores his 25th goal of the season? Pavel Dorofeev, his 25th goal of the season, a PPG for VGK. On the assist was Noah Hannafin, his 23rd assist of the season. Jack Eichel picking up his 58th assist of the season. Time of the goal, 14 minutes, 29 seconds. So just about 10 seconds, I guess, apart from when the penalty was called at 14 minutes and 9 seconds. Just like that, the Penguins' 2-goal lead, that was a 1-goal lead after 20 minutes of play, thanks to the Crosby power play goal. And then Crosby's second goal of the game in that second period. Well, that has become a 1-goal lead after 40 minutes of play. Vegas heavily outshooting Pittsburgh. They pick up another 9-8. They weren't outshooting the Penguins at the end of the second 20 minutes of play, but they still won the second period 9-8 in the shots on goal after 40 minutes of play. They are outshooting, the Golden Knights are outshooting the Penguins 18-12 after 2 periods of play. Third period rolls around, and Zach Whitecloud, we talked about early penalties earlier. Zach Whitecloud, 2 minutes for delay of game, puck over the glass, 47 seconds into the third. Penguins go back on the power play. Unfortunately, they do not connect on the power play. But you know who does connect? Wow. This could have ended 2-1 Pittsburgh. But not so fast. Noah Hannafin. I need a hero. Guess what? Noah Hannafin is going to make sure this game does not end in regulation. His 9th goal of the season. And how about getting help from Pavel Dorofeev, his 16th assist of the season, and the primary assist went to Mark Stone, his 40th assist of the season. We're tied at 2 on the way into the extra period. Time of the goal, 19 minutes, 53 seconds, with just about 6 seconds left on the clock. And Noah Hannafin beats Jari clean to make it 2-2 in the third period. Wow, we need overtime. No penalties to speak of in overtime, but after the third period, it was 19-4 Penguins were being outshot 37-16 for the game, but they get the only shot in overtime, and it comes off of the stick of EK65. We talked about penalties earlier that come early in the game, like the penalty to Nicholas Roy early second period, and then that penalty early third period, 47 seconds in. And speaking of early, Erik Karlsson, it only took him 49 seconds to say, "Good night, everybody." And as the one great Mike Lang would say, "Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building." His 9th goal of the season. Evgeny Malkin on the assist as well. Number 30 on the season for Malkin. And Chris Letang picking up an assist as well, his 18th of the season. Penguins win it 3-2 in overtime, despite being outshot for the end of the game, 37-17. That's what our shots on goal would end up being at the end of the game. Penguins get a shot on goal in overtime after being outshot pretty much the entire game, 19-4 in regulation. The Golden Knights turn up the heat in regulations period. The Penguins kind of turning up the heat in that second period of play, 9-8, a bit closer but not close enough. They really needed to turn up the heat in that first 20 minutes of play, 9-4. Clearly, despite getting a goal late in the first period, and on the power play, mind you, it maybe didn't help in the shot totals, but Tristan Jarry, until the goal on the power play by Pavel Dorofeev, again, that's his 25th goal of the season. Until that goal at the 14-minute and 29-second mark, and even after that, Tristan Jarry, he proved a lot of people wrong for one game when he started against Minnesota. But if he didn't prove you wrong about how he had been playing as of late, when we were trying to find out if he's found his game, I know it's just 2 games that he started since his last start at the NHL level came in January. Yeah, his last start at the NHL level came in January. This guy hadn't started an NHL game, let alone won an NHL game at the NHL level, in a black and gold uniform, mind you, since January. Has he found his game? He's impressed me. What say you, old 2-9er? Let me know in the comments if you have a chance to check this game out. Probably before we go to battle with the St. Louis Blues on Thursday, and we'll talk about that more a little bit later in our show. Once again, our stats for the shots on goal as we move in our game breakdown in the opening segment. We moved from the head coaches to the goaltending matchup, to breaking down the game all in one segment. We'll get to the remainder of our game stats in segment 2, as well as the 3 stars of the game and the play of the game. It's all coming up next on Penguins postgame. Game puck of the game. Next 5 for Vegas. Next 5 for Pittsburgh. And a look around the NHL. Also coming up a little bit later. But with that all being said, Penguins postgame will return with the remainder of our game stats from the Penguins' 3-2 overtime win over the Vegas Golden Knights. The 3 stars of the contest and the play of the game. That comes your way next when Penguins postgame continues.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Welcome back to Penguins postgame. Penguins and the Golden Knights. Penguins knock off the Golden Knights 3-0. My name is Scott McGregor. It's time for our second segment of the show. In this segment, we are going to jump into the remainder of our game stats of the game, minus our shots on goal. Shots on goal we brought to you during the opening segment of the show. And those, in case you missed it, were 37-17 in favor of the Golden Knights. Also on this segment, we're going to get to the 3 stars of the game and the play of the game, which I will pick for you. I should say I will pick, but if you want to get in on the action, you can get to us on Discord under Penguins post-game show interactions on our Discord server, or simply by sending an email to sportsforbeginners podcast8231@gmail.com. This is for 3 stars of the game, the play of the game, and of course, yes, I said of course, game puck of the game and the shake of the game. So without further ado, let's get into it and wrap this up with the stats here. This game saw 59 faceoffs. 28 of those 59 were won by the Penguins. Just about 48% of the faceoffs were won by Pittsburgh out of 28 to 59. 59 faceoffs, they win 28 out of 59. Vegas winning just about 53% of their faceoffs, winning 31 out of 59 faceoffs. They are perfect on the power play, 1 for 1. The Penguins go 1 for 4 on the power play, which means Vegas is 3 for 4 on the penalty kill. Meanwhile, the Penguins 0 for 1 on the penalty kill. So the Penguins are 0 for 1 on the penalty kill, 1 for 4 on the power play. The Golden Knights 3 for 4 on the penalty kill, and 1 for 1 on the power play. They spent 8 minutes in the penalty box, were out hit by the Penguins 16-10. They blocked 9 of Pittsburgh's shots, gave the puck away to Pittsburgh 12 times, and took the puck away from Pittsburgh 10 times. Pittsburgh, meanwhile, 2 minutes in the penalty box, just 2 minutes in the penalty box. 16 hits, they out-hit the Golden Knights 16-10. Blocked 22 more shots than Vegas did. Vegas blocked 9 of the Penguins' shots. The Penguins blocking 22 of Vegas's shots. 16 giveaways for the Penguins, and just 4 takeaways for the Penguins in this game. In case you missed it in the opening segment, we'll just bring that up one quick second. The Golden Knights outshot the Penguins 9-4 in the first period, and that's how we were for the game after the first 20 minutes of play. Add on 9 more in the second period. The Penguins still trailing, but they get at least a couple more shots than they got in the first period, which was 4. The Golden Knights had 18 shots on goal at the end of 40 minutes of play. The Penguins, who had 4 shots on goal at the end of 20 minutes, added an 8 to the mix. They had 12 shots on goal. Vegas outshooting Pittsburgh 18-12. Vegas really turned up the heat in that third period with a combined 3 9s, but make it a 19 in that third period to end up with a 37. They outshot the Penguins in the third period 19-4. The Penguins were being outshot 37-16 at the end of regulation. But the Penguins pick up the only shot on goal in overtime. And they outshot the Golden Knights 1-0 in overtime. Time now for the 3 stars of the game. So here we go. Oh, I'm forgetting. As we like to do, we like to let everyone in on a disclaimer. The 3 stars, if you listen to the game on the Penguins Radio Network, are brought to you by your neighborhood Ford stores in Pittsburgh. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We are not sponsored by that. It could be coming down the road. It could be coming down the road. It could be coming down the road. Baby steps. We'll get there when we get there. Your 3rd star went to the aforementioned Noah Hanifin. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. That was your 3rd star. Your 2nd star went to the Penguins' aforementioned captain, Sidney Crosby. 2 goals, 2 points, no assists. And the 1st star, I thought this was going to go to Tristan Jarry. I'll be honest with you. I thought this was going to go to Tristan Jarry. But it goes to the overtime winner, EK65, Erik Karlsson, is your 1st star of the game. on this game that took place on Tuesday night. More on that a little bit later, because we got to get ready for a game tomorrow night as we are recording this second segment of the show. On the night after the game, 1 goal, 1 point, no assist on Tuesday's action. Crosby now has about 70 points again in his career. Well, not really in his career, but again for the season. And he's putting on quite a show. Tristan Jarry once again, as I hasten to add from the opening of the show, he makes his second start at the NHL level since January. We had not seen Tristan Jarry start a game since January at the NHL level, let alone win a game. I don't know about you Penguins fans, but he is definitely impressing me. Tristan Jarry is definitely impressing me. After he had to take some time down in Wilkes-Barre, came back up, something clearly was wrong. There was talk about him trying to find his confidence. I'm a firm believer right now that if Jarry plays the way that he's been playing right now, from the Minnesota game to this game to, who knows, the game against the Blues, unless that goes to Alex Nedeljkovic, he is expected to start. Nedeljkovic is expected to start that game, but we won't know until the lineups come out what the head coaches are thinking of the St. Louis Blues and the Pittsburgh Penguins. We won't know until the lineups come out. But the one thing we do know is that it is now time for our play of the game. Before we get to the play of the game and our disclaimer on that, let's take a look at the action from around the NHL. And 11 games on the slate. We're going to focus on the 10 other games other than our game. Down in the Shark Tank, we're going to start in the Shark Tank. The Nashville Predators take care of business against the San Jose Sharks. 3-2. Philip Forsberg picking up his 25th goal of the season. Former Lightning, Steven Stamkos, picking up his 22nd goal of the season. On a power play goal, Philip Forsberg picking up a power play goal of his own. Nashville quickly took a 2-0 lead. And then it was Keither Bellows who won it in the third period after Colin Garath and Patrick, yes, I said Patrick Giles scored. In Los Angeles, the Islanders went to Los Angeles to take on the Kings. And the Kings coming away with the W. They defeat the Islanders 4-1. 9 goals away. He's 9 goals away. Quickly gotta check my math there, but yes, I believe per some reports I've been seeing, Ovechkin is 9 goals away. Alexander Ovechkin is 9 goals away from making history and breaking the great one, Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record. He had a goal in a 7-4 victory over. He had a goal and, of course, a couple of helpers in Oh, actually, no, he didn't have. Oh no, he didn't have a goal in this one, but he had a couple of helpers. He had a couple of helpers in this one as Alexei Protas scores 3 goals in a 7-4 win over the Ducks. Down in Vancouver, BC, Canadians taking down the Canucks 4-2. The Jets taking down the New York Rangers 2-1. Wild beating the Avalanche in a shootout 2-1. Carolina Hurricanes taking down the Tampa Bay Lightning. Speaking of the former Tampa Bay Lightning, Steven Stamkos, the Hurricanes took down his former team 4-1 on the Tuesday night. 5-3 your final between the Devils and the Blue Jackets. Boston Bruins picking up a 3-2 win. The same thing like the Penguins picked up in overtime. And down in Philadelphia, the Ottawa Senators beat the Flyers 5-2. So we have a shootout, an overtime final, and a couple of finals. With that all being said, a couple of games going on today. One of them is underway right now, and that's the Sabres and the Red Wings. That game is a 3-2 score. Josh Norris with the second goal for Buffalo right now. All right. Time now for our game's play of the game. Disclaimer that is brought to you by on the Penguins Radio Network, Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Follow Penguins Live on Twitter or X at Penguins Live and send a message to #PenguinsLive. We are not sponsored by Rivers Casino, but if you have questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you in Ontario, please contact Connex Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. And again, you must be 18 years or older to play. Same thing applies in Pittsburgh, in the state of Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania. If you have questions or concerned about your gambling or somebody close to you, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. And again, Rivers Casino is the sponsor of the Penguins Radio Network's Play of the Game, brought to you by Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. Well, even though we're not sponsored by it, if we had a guest, I would give the guest the floor, but we don't have a guest with us for this show. So my play of the game, I can't even believe I'm saying this as a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I got to go to that OT heroic. The game, my play of the game goes to Noah Hannafin. Literally 6 seconds, maybe 7 seconds on the clock left. Maybe 7 seconds on the clock left. But Noah Hannafin is able to force this game into overtime with some late third period heroics. If he doesn't score, even with the goalie pulled, I guarantee you this would have ended 3-1 Pittsburgh or 2-1 Pittsburgh. More likely. Noah Hannafin's third period heroic goal and his 9th of the season. Good enough for my play of the game. All right, that brings us to another commercial break. When we return, we will set the scene for the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Vegas Golden Knights. It's time also for our game puck of the game. And we'll get to the player of the game segment we call the shake of the game. The shake of the game, game puck of the game, and setting the scene for Golden Knights versus Penguins when we continue on Penguins postgame. Right after this short word from our friends over at Take Another Look podcast, On the Ice and Behind the Benches, and Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. Who knows, before this show is up, maybe, just maybe, I'll provide you with a look at the schedule for Sienna T Radio. You'll find out when we return. In case you missed it, the game puck of the game, shake of the game, and setting the scene for what's next for Vegas and Pittsburgh is coming up next when we return. Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
Sienna T Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Sienna T Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Sienna T Radio.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
We welcome everyone back into the Penguins post-game studio show. My name is Scott McGregor. Penguins knocking off the Golden Knights 3-2. Our final score. Time now for our shake of the game and our game puck of the game. We'll get to what's next for the Penguins. What's next for the Golden Knights in just a moment. But before we do, a quick check-in on action around the NHL. We mentioned earlier on that our game, one of the games ongoing right now, was the Detroit Red Wings. That game is now 7-3 Red Wings over the Sabres. It looks like the Red Wings are going to win this one 7-3. They have 3 minutes and 12 seconds, I should say, in the third period left. In Calgary, the Canucks are tied up at 1 goal apiece. Coming up later, of course, that one's in the second period. Coming up later, the Ducks are in Utah to take on the Hockey Club. That's at 10 p.m. Coming up in just about a few minutes from now. And coming up at 10:30 p.m., the Kraken host the Canadiens. That ought to be a good one. All right, back to our game. So, who's gonna be lucky in this one? This is our play of the game segment, our player of the game segment, excuse me. And players who receive the shake of the game, honorable mention, are in the running for our game puck of the game. If you want access, no, not access, if you want in on the action, send an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231 at gmail.com using the hashtag, or the subject rather, 3 stars of the game. In this case, shake of the game recipient or game puck of the game recipient. And you could also do this for the play of the game as well. It's also available to be used on Discord if you're on Discord by going into the Penguins Postgame Show Discord server. Penguins Postgame Show Interactions. Links will be in the description of our episode. This is a segment inspired by the Milkshake Factory ad originally created by former Penguin, now Tampa Bay Lightning player, Jake Gensel, but it is now being run by Brian Rust, the Rusty Razor. Whenever Brian Rust scores, you receive half off Rusty Shakes the next day at the Milkshake Factory, providing you the official milkshake of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We are not sponsored by that, but it inspired this segment, which is our alternative player of the game segment. So let's get started, shall we? Our first shake of the game is going to go to the aforementioned Vegas Golden Knights scorer, one of the goal scorers, Noah Hanifin. He scored a goal, picked up an assist, has 2 points. The rest of his stats speak for themselves. But also gave away the puck once, and he had 2 shots on goal. He had 28 shifts in the game and was on the ice for 22 minutes and 57 seconds. Honorable mentions for the Vegas Golden Knights include forward and captain Mark Stone, defenseman Braden McNabb, and goaltender Ilya Samsonov. We'll find out who is the recipient of the Golden Knights game puck of the game a little bit later. But closing out our shake of the game with our second shake of the game, this is going to go on the Penguin side. And we'll bring up a couple of honorable mentions there. And actually start the game puck of the game segment on the Penguin side. The shake of the game for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and our second shake of the game for this show, is going to go to the Penguins goaltender, Tristan Jarry. 60 minutes and 49 seconds played, .946 save percentage, a power play goal, and an even strength goal given up. Dang, did Jarry improve despite giving up the 2 goals he gave up. One on the power play and one at even strength. 35 saves for Jarry on the 37 shots he would face. The rest of the stats, they speak for themselves. Moving on. Let's get to our honorable mentions. The honorable mentions include goal scorer Sidney Crosby, Philip Tomasino, and Erik Karlsson. And we'll add to that list. Well, no, I already have Philip. You know what? We'll leave it at it. We'll leave it as is. Philip Tomasino, Crosby, and Karlsson. One of them is going to get the game puck of the game. And the recipient of that for Pittsburgh, as we're going to start the game puck of the game segment with our recipient from Pittsburgh, that one is going to go to Penguins goal scorer and your captain, Sidney Crosby. No disrespect to Erik Karlsson or Philip Tomasino, or even Rickard Rakell. But I really like what I saw from Sid in this game. Not just with the shots. Excuse me there. Not just with the shots, but he was all over the place. And I love those 2 shots that he got in the net. Able to pass the former Toronto Maple Leaf goaltender, Ilya Samsonov. Yeah, I would be talking about the Maple Leafs. And in particular, I would be talking about Ilya Samsonov if he was still a Maple Leaf. Right now, he's a Golden Knight. Speaking of that, let's find out what is up next for the Golden Knights after, and I say after, we find out who is their game puck of the game recipient between Mark Stone, Brayden McNabb, and Ilya Samsonov. Well, slap me silly, Ilya Samsonov. It's going to go to Ilya Samsonov. Mark Stone, Brayden McNabb, and all the other players, they played really, really well. But you know what? Okay, maybe not too many players played really, really well, but I also really like what I saw from Pavel Dorofeev. I mean, even if his 6th shot didn't go in, he was bound to blank Tristan Jarry, I should say. He was bound to blank Tristan Jarry at some point in the hockey game. He was bound to blank Tristan Jarry at some point in the hockey game. All right. Game puck of the game belongs to Ilya Samsonov of the Vegas Golden Knights. Shake of the game going to Noah Hannafin. The Penguins' shake of the game went to Penguins goal scorer Erik Karlsson. And the shake of the game went to the goaltender, Tristan Jarry. And our puck of the game went to captain. It went to the captain of your Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby. Quick check-in on the action. The hockey club and Ducks have just gotten underway. The game has indeed gone final between the Red Wings and the Sabres. Sabres fall 7-3 to the Red Wings. Jake DeBrusk has made it a 2-1 lead for the Canucks over the Flames. And coming up in just under a few minutes from now, it will be time to defend the deep. At 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Central, and 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. The Kraken host the Canadiens in just a matter of moments. No score in the Hockey Club and Ducks game. That game just got started. For us, our show has hit the closing points of the show. This is the part of the show after the game, puck of the game, shake of the game, play of the game, 3 stars of the game. You get the picture. Where we set the scene for the Penguins' upcoming games and their opponents' upcoming games. We're going to start, speaking of the Golden Knights, we're going to start with the Golden Knights. Their next 5 contests include the continuation of their 4-game road trip. They are currently on. They will face the Columbus Blue Jackets at 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. On the 15th, they will take on the Buffalo Sabres. That's a Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Off to Detroit they go after taking on the Buffalo Sabres on Saturday. They will be back in action on Sunday, March 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern as they go to Detroit to take on the Detroit Red Wings. Before they come home for a 3-game homestand against the Boston Bruins at 10 p.m. Eastern on next Thursday, March 20th, 2025. And then next Saturday, to end their next 5, their 3-game homestand continues next Saturday as they take on the Detroit Red Wings at 8:20 p.m. Eastern before playing again on Sunday against the Lightning on the 23rd of March at 8 p.m. Eastern. Lots of games left, but not very many left in the season. For the Penguins, their chances are dwindling. They are dwindling. But is that good when it comes to potentially having a first-round pick? in the 2025 NHL draft after the season is over, heading into the 2025-2026 season. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. But I would prefer the Penguins try to make the playoffs if they can. I still believe they can. Speaking of the Penguins, just a reminder in case you missed the Golden Knights, they will take on the Jackets tomorrow, the Sabres on Saturday, the Red Wings on Sunday, Boston next Thursday night, and next Saturday night they go head-to-head against Detroit once again. As part of their next 5 games, including the start of a 3-game homestand, leading to another 3-game road trip. But of course, they're on a 4-game road trip right now, which continues against the Columbus Blue Jackets tomorrow in Columbus, Ohio. Meanwhile, the Penguins, speaking of road trips and homestands, they continue their 5-game homestand as they take on the St. Louis Blues at 7 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night. Due to a prior commitment, we will bring you the game of the Devils and the Penguins on Saturday, March 15th at 3 p.m. Eastern. We will bring you that recap on March 17th. That's Monday, March 17th. 2025, ahead of the Penguins' next matchup in Pittsburgh when they take on the New York Islanders at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We will have an episode for you on Sports for Beginners on Thursday, March 20th, 2025, to be sent out on the 21st of March, 2025, hopefully ahead of the matchup between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins take on the Blues, Devils, Islanders, and the Jackets to close out their 5-game homestand. To close out their next 5, however, we end up starting up their 3-game road trip as they go head-to-head with the Florida Panthers at 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. Would love to give you a programming note for the other games, including that game against Florida. But the one thing that I will provide you with, we will have at least 1 or 2 more Penguins Friday hockey shows where we recap the game from Thursday. Our next one is after the game tomorrow night against the St. Louis Blues. It will be an afternoon, not live stream, but it will be an afternoon podcast breaking down the game on Thursday night. Same will be said for the Buffalo Sabres, unless we can get to recording that show right after the final horn. And with that said, that will do it for this episode of Penguins Postgame. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us here, no matter how long it may be. We are getting into a bit of a rhythm as we near the end of another great season of Penguins hockey. I know it hasn't been as great as we would like it to be. We've had some downfalls with Tristan Jarry. We've had some ups and downs with rookie goaltender Joel Blomqvist. We've had some ups and downs with Alex Nedeljkovic as well. But the feeling that no matter what, the Penguins will try anything in their power to get wins. I will see you on episode 7 of season 4 of the podcast, where we break down Thursday night's action between the Blues and the Penguins. It's a Penguins post-game show edition, Friday, March 14th, 2025. It will be recorded following the game on the Friday. It won't follow the game right after the game. It will follow right after the game, but on a Friday. As we set the stage during this show, along with the return of Bucks and Pucks on that episode, time permitting. But that will be in place of game puck of the game, puck of the game. And among other things, we will still have the stars of the game, the play of the game, the shake of the game, NHL look around, and of course, we'll break down the game, coaches, goaltenders, the game itself. It all happens on our Friday show. We'll see you then. But remember, until the next time we talk Penguins hockey, let's go Pens. Thanks for joining us. My name is Scott McGregor, and this has been Penguins Postgame. The Penguins even the series with the Vegas Golden Knights. And I wish I had time to bring this in, but I don't. But it's a quick fact that I'll bring in as we close out here to the closing message, which will take us out after I've said this. But since the Golden Knights came into the league, the Pittsburgh Penguins have not lost a season series to the Vegas Golden Knights. That could have changed last night, but it didn't. We'll see what happens with the St. Louis Blues when we see them on Thursday night. Enjoy the hockey game, and we'll catch you on Friday for the recap. See you then. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it.